Hi there, welcome to our channel. I'm Vic.
I'm Nick.
And we are NV Board Gaming, and today we're looking at Stroganov. This is a game designed by Andreas Stedding and published by Game Brewer. It's for 1 to 4 players. Nick is going to go through how you play, and then we're going to give our reviews.
Hello everyone, welcome to 16th century Siberia and Stroganov. We're set up here for a 2-player game. First thing I'm going to go over is what we start with. We have a player board here, example of one. It is double-sided, so I'm on the B side where it has asymmetrical powers. But if you flip to the A side, you can have identical powers for all players. That would be recommended for your first play. We also start with this many horses. So if I'm the first player, I get 3 horses. These represent 3 horses. If you have the white horses, they are a single horse. So I have 3 horses. Second player would have 4. I have an outpost of mine and a coin. Then I just have a marker here for trophies. On the board, we're going to start at the far left here. And I'm just going to go a brief overview of what you're doing in the game, what your actions are going to look like, what are your choices, and how long the game goes and so forth in phases. So we have 3 phases that are identical. They're seasons. And then the winter phase, so the summer, spring, and autumn are all identical. But the winter phase would be kind of like an end round thing that we're going to do some upkeep. So in the 3 phases, the 3 main phases of the game, first thing you're going to do, and it's listed here if you want to follow through that as well, is move. You're going to move your Cossack, which is this character here. So if it's the red player's turn, they can move 2 for free, up to 2. They can move a 3rd space for a single horse. They can move another space for 3 horses. Or for 6 horses, they can move an additional space. So that's the first thing you do is move. So they can move here up to 2 spaces and not spend anything. Then you have what are called basic actions. Basic actions are listed right here. You can also spend a fur of value 4 in this case, which will be random, to do 2 of these actions, and they can be the same actions if you wish. I'll also mention that we start with a fur at random as well, which I did not show with the things we start with. So a basic action would be something like get a coin. Move your Cossack 2 spaces left or right, up to 2. You cannot spend horses to mitigate that. You can only do that in the movement phase. You can gain 4 horses. You can hunt or spend a coin to hunt twice. And that will be the only one I'm going to go over of these because these are pretty basic. This hunt would be to where the spot where you're at, you would take the top animal, and that would be considered hunting. So in this case, I would add this 3, this rabbit, to my player board. If I want, I can spend a coin to do it twice, and I would take both of these, the 3 and the 4, the fox and the rabbit. Or I could spend a horse to simply skip this 3 and go down a level. I could spend more horses. So let's say I was here. I could spend 2 horses to take the 6, for instance. So for every one you skip, you pay a horse. And that's hunting. If you were to do these actions, that would be gain a coin. This would be 2 on the storytelling. So that would be over here. And the red player actually would be the one. They would move up 2 on that. And you understand those because I just explained those. So those are basic actions you can do. Advanced actions are these gold ones. So once you're done with the basic, you have a choice of either doing more basic, another basic action, or an advanced action. Advanced actions can be, let me set this back. If I were here, let's say I was here, just to move it closer to the center, I could acquire this tile. I could use this ability, anything with a gold circle, I could use an ability here, or take a card here. Those are examples of advanced actions. There's also another one where I can put an outpost out. So if I'm the green player and I want to put an outpost out, very small print, but it says that it'll cost me 2 horses to do that. I would put one of these X's. We start with 1, but we can earn more by even this would give us another one to add to our personal supply. So I could spend 2 horses as it's printed here, which you would not be able to see from that far away, but I would do that and put that here. And that means I have access to this area, this whole area right here, even if I'm not there. Oh, and I put an example as a green, but I'm the red player. So I'm just going to stick with green because I'm by the green board. Now, if I were over here, I would have access to the actions in this area. If I were to do an advanced action, I would still have access here, not just where I'm at. That's what the outpost does. It's also worth victory points end the game as well. So those are your advanced actions. I can explain now how you accomplish those actions. So here you just do the actions. You just get the song, you get the coin, all that. Here, to acquire the tiles, these landscape tiles, you'll have to pay the cost of a base of 2 of the fur that's listed in that area, in this case 5. Now I could do that by a couple means. I could, let's say, well, first of all, it's 2 if there are no furs on it. So in this case, if these furs didn't exist on that tile, I would just spend 2. However, if there were 2 here, I'm going to spend 1 for each fur that exists there. So I would spend 4 in that case. So, and I could pay that by either straight up spending 5 or 4 of these tokens, because that's the area, and be done with it. I would take the furs that are listed here. I would take the points immediately that are listed at the bottom of that landscape tile, and I would take the tile. The tile has a symbol at the top right, which will matter at the end of the game, because different types of tiles here are going to give you a set. If you have 3 or 4 different symbols, you'll get points based on that. 2 and 1 will not do you any good as far as the points for sets. So I'll get what's here, and this will go off the board. My player would still be here though, in limbo. Another way I can accomplish buying this, if I put this back, instead of spending all 4 5s, if I did not have 4 5s, let's say I had 2 5s only, and I still need 2 other 5s, I could spend these 4. However, I would have to spend coins to make these into 5s. You can always make these into any number you would wish if you spend a coin. So I could spend 2 coins and these 4 tiles in order to accomplish the same thing of acquiring this tile. So that is how you get one of those landscape tiles. So once you have you've decided, okay, I'm going to do the advanced action. I acquire the tile. Well, you're not necessarily done, because you have an option of spending a fur to do an advanced action. You would spend the exact same fur. You would spend the 5 value fur to do the advanced action, or you can spend another fur that is less than even to do a basic action. Just, you can spend any old fur. It doesn't have to match, but you can do a basic action on top of that. There are also auxiliary actions you can do on your turn. They're listed over here. So you can spend 5 to acquire one of these market furs, or you can draft 2 and pick one. So you can not draft, but draw 2 from the bag and pick one that you would like if you would rather do that. You can also accomplish one of these Czar cards. So I mentioned as an advanced action, you can take these cards. We actually start with one. That's what's down here. We start with it. It's labeled an S on the back to show you that it's a starter. You can accomplish these if you have the furs that are required. The ones that are highlighted in red are the ones you actually pay. So this is just a prerequisite. You have to have 4 of these 7 level furs, and you would spend 2 of them. You would get immediate 2 points in this case, and it shows a condition here of this not costing a coin when you hunt twice, for instance. It's an ongoing ability. This one signifies in the winter I would get a coin if I were to accomplish this one, and I would get an instant 1 victory point. I would need 3 5 value furs, and I would get a point. And I would keep 2 of those 3 and spend that 1. So you have those Czar ones as well. You're going to keep playing. Every action you do moves. When everyone's done with their action, you're actually going to put your player down. When you're done, you put him down so we know it's easy to keep track of, especially with more players. In a 2-player game, not a big deal. It's pretty obvious. In more player counts, you're going to want to make sure you put these Cossacks face down so you know that they went this round. When everyone has went, it will move the round tracker over. And again, same thing's going to happen. And we're going to move the round tracker over again. Same thing's going to happen, doing the same process. And then winter. So let's explain what happens in the winter. There are a few things. Not only will you refresh the board and things like that, you are going to do some things about the storytelling. So whoever happened to be the farthest along, let's do it in order though. So the first thing we're going to do is you're going to gain 2 horses. Everyone's going to get 2 horses. If you have any of these tokens, these blue tokens, let me grab one. If you have any of these, you're going to get 1 horse per one that you have. You're going to activate anything that has a winter ability. In this case, I would get my coin if I accomplish this Tsar task. You're then going to see who traveled the farthest in Siberia. Whoever traveled the farthest is going to get 2 of these songwriting token moves, and the second farthest is going to get 1. Then you're going to decide if you have enough. If you have enough of these, which in this case we don't because only the red player has 2, we'd assume that maybe they have more and be forced to a decision. Let's say they had 5. So now they can choose, do I want to do a 5 action and spend my 5, or a 4 action, spend my 4, or just pass and keep what I have. Let's say they did a 5. They spend all 5, and they will get an action, an advanced action anywhere. Doesn't matter. They don't have to have presence or anything, I don't believe. I believe you just go wherever when it's a question mark. And you can do an advanced action. Correct me if I'm wrong in that, and that's where your Cossack is. I know whenever you see that symbol in general, it's going to be where you're at. I am not sure because there's a question mark there. But example, that is what you're doing. You're spending 5 and you're getting that ability. Spending 4 and you get a outpost in your personal supply. That's that one. Okay, if it is farther in the game, there is a letter B there, and that's a halfway point. So you will refresh everything with the letter B thing. So this is A, the cards will get refreshed. The yurts will get refreshed because you see they have an A on them as well. Okay, so there'd be some changing. These songs would be upgraded as well. These are A's, there'll be B's out there. On top of those things happening, you are also going to go back. You're going to see who's farthest, and they're going to keep that same turn order, that same order they're in. So they'll be in the head of the pack when we go. Everyone's going to move on back there, and all these cards will slide over to the left. All these yurts will slide to the left as well. These will stay there. These are permanent abilities in these regions. And you just start over again. You just start your whole new round. And you're going to play essentially 4 rounds because you're hitting winter 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and that will be the end of the game in the 4th winter phase. Again, you're not going to push everything back in the B necessarily when we hit this B marker because a lot of it's going to be replenished with different B cards or tiles. Last thing I'll mention is that there are these tiger tokens. There's actually one that starts at the beginning of the game at the far right. Those are wild tokens, and they're acquired as if they're the last fur on there. So you have to go 5 deep in order to get this tiger. If you did not spend this tiger and you just use it for its wild abilities or just kept it, it'll be worth 2 points at the end of the game. Okay, and that is how you play Stroganov. We're going to go back up top and tell you what we think.
All right, thank you, Nick, for the teach of the game. If you hadn't already watched our unboxing video that went out a few weeks ago, I would say a couple months ago, maybe now. We did get the deluxe edition of this game. Nick went and backed it on Kickstarter. So how long, do you recall how long it took to get this game? And
I maybe mentioned it in the unboxing that we did. I know it was late, but everything's late, really. It wasn't that late, though, because I ordered it. We were on our honeymoon when I ordered this game. I remember we were at that place in Arizona that with the wild game meats. Yeah. And I was ordering it at that time. I had pause on this game, but the reason I backed it is because the designer. I love Hansit Stanika and I love Gugong. He's done those 2 games. So, yeah, the experience was fine as far as the wait period. And I've already talked about some of the negatives with the production that I saw right away when unboxing it. And I can touch on those a little bit more right now, really briefly.
Sure, if you want to get into the component quality or some of the things that you noticed right away about the game.
There's going to be pros and cons here. I think some pros right off the bat is the look. I love the art of this game. I really do. All the tiles. I like the tiles themselves. When you earn a tile, I like these. Oops. Yeah. Clean them up. I like these cardboard tiles. The artwork on each one is unique. And the board, it looks good. The problem there is that it's like falling apart already. It kind of like when you put it away or when you open it, it's kind of like probably the worst board I have as far as how it's handling like just a few plays. I feel like it's peeling in some spots and bending. And I am getting a new board. It's being shipped to us because they realize that it's a deluxe version. They should have a better quality. They admit that. They are shipping with the Oak. The Oak is another, I'm not sure if it's GameFound or Kickstarter. I want to say it was GameFound.
I think it is.
Another game that they have, a game brewer put out. They're shipping with those. They're putting out new game boards. And all you pay for is the shipping. So that's pretty cool. We'll see how that goes. I didn't pay anything beyond the shipping, which wasn't very much either. But yeah, we'll go into pros of the game itself. How about that? Because we've talked plenty about the
appearance and components and whatnot of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the theme was certainly different. I know that you and I are not the biggest theme people when it comes to selecting a game. We don't really base it on a theme, but loved the artwork right away like Nick did. I'm not going to get into how I feel about the components because I already talked about that in the unboxing video, but I did like most of the components. I really liked these little trays that it came with, how easy it is. It's got the iconography on it to show you exactly what goes there, even though, I mean, it's not too crazy. I mean, you could put other things, mix and match it, I'm sure, but it's nice that it has that. It easily comes out and everyone gets their own little organizer to just easily dole out the player tokens for each color. So I liked that. And we've played it at 2 players and we played it at 4 players. And I'll say right off the bat that I do prefer it at 2. I like how snappy things go. 4 gets a little bit bogged down for my taste. I think that it can be a little slower of a game in that sense, but at 2 players, I thought was a good player count for it. I could see 3 being good as well, but you know, we didn't have a third, so we haven't played it at 3. So right away, a pro for me is the artwork of the game. Most of the components of it, I think, are good, pretty good. And I liked the mechanisms of the game. I liked how quick your turns are. I like all the options you get. So you can just really prolong your turn and mitigate things. And if you know me, I like cheat sheets. And all throughout this whole board at the top, first it was overwhelming. I looked at it, I'll never look at that again. I'll just listen to what Nick has to say about how to play and I don't even want to look. But then when I saw how much it really tells you about the game, if you ever really wonder, I mean, it's got depictions of how you can trade for a fur you don't have, or mitigate that, or what even drawing from the bag versus getting from the market means. It's really all written out there. All the phases are there. The end of the game scoring is written out as well, so that's cool. I mean, it has, anytime you look, you find something new and you go, oh, that's also there. So I really appreciate that. I like the quick access to the actions that's printed on there. The game is pretty fun for me as well. I think that what you're doing is gratifying, like collecting sets and not having to trade every single fur in, for instance, to accomplish one of the SARS orders. That's nice. To not have to trade every single one you've got in, and having different ways to use the furs is cool. I also find it nice to be able to use the horses. Yeah. That's fun, to use horses that you've accrued, especially if you have some kind of system or engine for them. And then you're using them, like I said, to really maximize your turn economy and try to max out your actions. So that's kind of a short, quick, and fast things I liked right off the bat.
Yeah, a lot of good pros there that I would agree with as well. I like a lot of the actions. Some of the actions are rewarding, not all of them. Some of them feel rewarding, like obtaining a tile feels really rewarding. It's probably the most rewarding action you can do is obtaining the tile. And it's a good, it's a good reward. You get the instant reward and you get the end game reward of having sets of 3 or 4 of those if they're different. I like going for orders. I mean, it's a game, order fulfillment. It's hit or miss in most games. I feel like it's pretty good here. You're going for the orders, the czar's orders, and I think those are good. It gets better later in the game because they're more powerful. They give you more points, end of game points, and things you can actually go for to increase your score at the end of the game, as opposed to here's something you get in the winter, a coin. Yeah, not as cool. It's still something you can go for, and I go for those things, but I prefer it at the end of the game when they're getting victory points. Like, oh man, I got 5 points off that, or 7 points off that, or whatever. I think there are it's a hit or miss pros for me. There's choices. There are a lot of choices. I like a lot of choices. That's another pro. The iconography is a plus overall, the fact that there's so much laid out on the board. However, it is laid out in a way it's hard, like Vic kind of hinted at. It's kind of hard to find things like, oh, how do we know that? Oh, there's a little circle way over here. That's how you know that's an advanced action or something.
Yeah.
There's some things that like, there's a lot of places to look for iconography because it's all over. It's cool that it's all there. It's just, it's kind of, it's convoluted a little bit as far as finding the order. What's that mean again? Let me look at the rule book. It's not so straightforward, so streamlined that you can follow step by step in some cases. But it is good. It follows you through as best as it can. I like the phases. I like how you can move the tracker in all the phases, keep track of things nicely, as long as you remember when you have more players, you got to set that person down. What are the Cossacks?
Yeah.
You got to set them down to make sure that the play order kind of gets a little wonky if you don't set your person down. Yeah, with more players. And 2 players, it's easy to follow. So easy.
Yeah, that was surprising to me when we were playing it at 4 that we lost. We're like, whoa.
Yeah. You got to make sure you set them down, otherwise we get confused, like who's going, because it does bog down at more players. So I guess we'll get the negatives then if we're going to talk about that.
Sure.
It does bog down to more players. At 4 players, it bogged down a bit. It was still fun, if you have the time for it. We lost track of time. We were enjoying it. It just, it lasted so long and we didn't realize it. Remember how late it was?
Yeah, it was shocking.
Yeah, it was with a teach, but it's still, there's so many things you can do on your turn. Yes, you don't have very many turns. You have 3 turns per round, and there's 4 rounds. But on your turn, you can do several different things, and you can even prolong it a little bit more and do anytime actions on your turn as well, like trading or fulfilling Czar's orders. So your turn can go for quite a bit. So don't be fooled by the fact that it might go quick at the beginning, because then you're going to start seeing all these other things you can do. The horses, I feel like you get so many horses, you can use them pretty quick, but you get so many, if you don't use them, there can be somebody with like 50 horses just chilling.
I had 33 at the end of last game.
And that's just a 2-player game, and I feel like in a 4-player game, sometimes you might run out of horses. It didn't happen to us, but like I can feel like that can happen. If you don't spend them, it's like, hey, you got to spend some horses because we're going to start using grapes or something.
Yeah, don't hold your horses.
Nice. Yeah, so there's some negatives. I already talked about production. That is a slight negative as well for what you pay for what you'd expect from Game Brewer. There is negatives there. I should mention I like doing the song stuff. That's fine. Not a theme guy, and honestly, the theme doesn't come through here. The hunting furs, I thought would be cool, interesting, new. It's not. It's just a number, and that's really disappointing to me. I think that the hunting furs is pretty lame. I gotta say that you're essentially collecting a 2, a 3, a 4, a 5. You're not. I don't care what those animals are. That means nothing to me in the context of the game. I don't feel like I'm hunting animals.
What if they made them furry, the tiles? What if each one had the texture?
Yeah, then we're talking.
A tiger one. Ooh.
Yeah, but it just doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like the theme that it comes through at all, to be honest. So if you're a theme person and you want, I got a hunting game now, an old hunting game in Europe, going around Siberia or whatever. Not feeling it. Not feeling that at all. What about you? What you got? Any negatives?
Well, I think I agree with you on the quality. I obviously don't like to see you sad or upset or disappointed. And yeah, you paid for this and you had a certain expectation. But enough said about that. We don't have to. Others have said stuff about that. So, but yeah, I think that the game did, like I said, get bogged down at 4. That was a little bit concerning with just how many actions you had, losing track of how did I do the basic one. And if you're in your own world planning your turn and other people are going, you're not really watching them as closely as, you paid a horse instead of a coin in that case, because there's different combinations. Like you can spend a coin to hunt twice, or you can spend a horse to move down and select a fur, but then they could do that twice if they spend a coin or a fur that was the same, and then you
spend a coin to make it a number you want.
Yeah, so I think that, and then the outpost being in another space, and I don't know. I just think that, the outposts are cool, but it's also just a lot to have to watch what people are doing, especially if it's their first time playing the game. It's a lot to manage with your own turn as well. But I guess that's not necessarily a con. It's just the life of games. The theme, I agree with you, is not strong to me either. It was just more of like a set collection game that I felt like I was fulfilling orders, collecting sets. And, some of those stars orders at the end, you were mentioning the end game scoring. Some are better than others, and you're at the mercy of what's left there. You can never just draw one. So if you're in a spot, you can look at your outpost, but I don't know. I guess I like that you can play this differently. I'm switching now back to pros, but I like that you can play the game in different ways. I didn't have too many cons in this. I think I'm ready to give my score, if you are. My score for this one was an 8.3. I enjoy playing it, and I've won quite a few times, so I enjoy it.
That's true. Vic has won 3 of 4. The only one she didn't win was when we played 4 players. I have not won yet, so there's that. So overall, I think it was a mixed bag for me. I feel like maybe even your player boards, that action with the horns. I haven't used it, and I haven't seen many people use it when we've played. It's kind of there, and it's something you can go for. Again, it's something you can go for, but it feels like it's too taxing to go for it. It takes too many turns to maybe get something better, and it's kind of like almost feels like wasted actions. But I wouldn't know necessarily until I try it. If it feels underpowered or not. It's just not. With a lot of the actions, I feel like it's kind of underwhelming. The actions are kind of underwhelming. Like the best action to me is taking a tile, earning a tile, taking a tile, finding the easiest route to get one of those tiles. So in that case, I do like some of the actions, but not all of them. It's a mixed bag. For me, I'm going to give it a 7-3. I think the game's fine. A little disappointed with it because I expected this game to be around a 9, just because the pedigree of the designer and the theme, the way it looks, everything I thought would be a great Euro. I feel like it's an okay Euro. It's a pretty good one. I would play it if somebody wanted to play it. That's about the range of a 7-3. And I probably wouldn't recommend it as far as I wouldn't pick it. I wouldn't say, hey, we're playing Stroganov tonight. That's probably not in the range it is. It's the range of, if you ask me, I'll play it and I'll be fine with it. It's a fine game. Vic likes it a little bit more by a point, but it's still, solid Euro, and it's nothing wrong with it, really.
Yeah, I think it's good. How would you score it in terms of its complexity relative to other Euros? Do you think it's more of an entry-level Euro or a mid-range or an advanced Euro?
I would say in a scale of 1 to 10 on how complex it is, I would probably give it, as far as Euros go, maybe like a 6.5.
Yeah, I was thinking like a 4 or 3 in that scale because I thought it was relatively easier when it comes to the action selection and the systems you're building. You're not really building out an engine or having to come up with a tableau of things. I mean, that could be rewarding, but you don't have to do it in order to win the game.
I think that where the complexity comes is on each of your turn, you're going to do the movement. You have to move. And then you have this basic action. Here are your choices for this basic action. Now, we're not going to go do a basic action again if you want, or you can do a better action. These are advanced actions, and they're not listed on the board necessarily too clearly. You can get an outpost or anything in a particular area that Cossack's in, or a place that your outpost is in. So you're getting more involved, or you could spend this fur that is listed right here. There's only one fur that gives you 2. You can do 2 of these type of basic actions. Or you can spend the fur of the area that you're in to do another advanced action on top of it. Or you can spend a fur that, any type of fur to do another basic action. It's like, woo! And then there's a winter phase.
Okay, all right, not 3-4, more like 6.
So it's not terribly easy to teach. It's not grueling. It's not, so I put it somewhere in 6.5 range.
Yeah.
Once you get it, yes, you're talking probably like a 5. It's standard. Probably standard fare. It's right down the middle once you understand everything. But learning it, there's a curve there. There's a curve for sure. There's symbology. There's issues with symbology, I think, in some spots. Even the trading is a little wonky as far as symbology. Just look at it. It's like, well, this one has a scale. This one has a bag with it and a scale. And if I spend, what does this mean again? It's not too clear.
Well, overall, I enjoy playing it. I would play it anytime you wanted to.
Well, you're picking it.
Yeah.
I'll just play it.
I apologize that you were underwhelmed by it.
This is your fault.
Yeah, so sorry. Thanks so much for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please click the thumbs up, and subscribe to our channel for more great reviews. We'll see you next time. Bye.